You are watching part 14 of the full series of Java Spring Boot interview questions. These are the 5 questions we are going to discuss in this session. How can you secure REST APIs in a Spring Boot application using JSON Web Tokens (JWT)? Describe the purpose and usage of the @EntityScan annotation in Spring Boot. What is the purpose of the @retriable annotation in Spring Boot? Explain the concept of auto-reconfiguration in Spring Boot and its limitations. How can you implement distributed caching in a Spring Boot application using Hazelcast or Redis? First question, how can you secure REST APIs in a Spring Boot application using JSON Web Tokens (JWT)? You can secure REST APIs in a Spring Boot application using JSON Web Tokens (JWT) by integrating Spring Security and JWT libraries. Spring Security provides mechanisms for authentication and authorization, while JWT facilitates token-based authentication. By configuring Spring Security filters, implementing authentication and authorization providers, and validating JWT tokens, you can protect your REST APIs and control access based on user roles and permissions. Second question, describe the purpose and usage of the @EntityScan annotation in Spring Boot. The @EntityScan annotation is used to specify the base packages to scan for entity classes in a Spring Boot application. When using JPA, Java Persistence API, with Spring Boot, @EntityScan helps the JPA provider locate and manage entity classes. By default, Spring Boot scans the package of the application's main class and its subpackages. However, if entity classes are located in different packages, you need to use @EntityScan to include those packages. Third question, what is the purpose of the @retriable annotation in Spring Boot? The @retriable annotation is used to specify that a method should be retried if it fails due to specified exceptions. Adding @retriable and configuring the desired retry behavior enables Spring Boot to automatically retry the method when exceptions occur. This can be useful for handling transient errors, such as network timeouts or temporary resource unavailability, and ensuring the successful execution of critical operations. Next question, explain the concept of auto-reconfiguration in Spring Boot and its limitations. Auto-reconfiguration in Spring Boot is a feature that automatically configures certain components and dependencies based on the class path and available resources. It simplifies the configuration process by detecting and configuring components like data sources, messaging brokers, and caches. Auto-reconfiguration has limitations when it comes to complex or custom configurations. It may not always provide the desired configuration out of the box. In such cases, manual configuration may be required. Next question, how can you implement distributed caching in a Spring Boot application using Hazelcast or Redis? To implement distributed caching in a Spring Boot application with Hazelcast or Redis, you can leverage the respective cache providers, integration libraries. Configuring the cache manager and cache-related settings lets you enable distributed caching. Spring Boot simplifies the setup and configuration process by providing auto-configuration support for both Hazelcast and Redis. Additionally, you can annotate methods with cache-related annotations like @cacheable or @cachevic to cache and retrieve data efficiently. Hope you have learned something and feel confident to answer the questions we discussed so far. Here's the list of questions that will be discussed in the next session. Please check out our playlist for more questions and subscribe our channel for updates and notifications. Good luck for your upcoming interviews.